Hi everybody, we're here today with Archspire, with their vocalist.
Hell yeah.
Oliver, right?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Oliver,
Yep.
you forgot his name, and their guitar player.
Toby Morelli.
Hi.
Dean?
No,
I've been calling him Dean for like months.
you know who I am.
You want to be Toby or you want to be Dean?
I'll be Toby today.
Okay, great. First, to start off, you are an incredibly, ridiculously technical band that makes other bands sound like lounge jazz, if we're honest. So, first off, what's your favorite hip-hop track of the year?
Of the year? Ooh, what year? Like, are we talking 1995 or something? 'Cause,
Of this year.
this year, I don't know if I have one.
Okay, you don't have one.
Yeah.
Ah,
I
that's...
don't really have one. What's a good hip hop album I've been listening to? I'll have to think about it. I'll get back to you.
Okay, no problem. But it was initially, you're obviously extremely influenced by Tech9, by hip-hop in your vocals and everything. And I wanted to know if that also influences the way you write songs in Archspire, or if it's just your vocals.
Yeah, no, it totally does. There's some parts in songs where I'm taking like pretty direct pattern rip-offs from some parts, and which I can do because it's such a different medium that I probably couldn't get sued for it. But yeah, like we have a song Calamus Will Animate. That's the intro is pretty much like a Tech9 intro that he does, which we did on purpose to sort of to pay homage to his style. But as far as the best song that he's put out this year, I mean, he's not putting out gold this year,
True enough, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But well, yeah, you're a guitar player. Does it also influence the way you write songs? That he has his hip hop, speed growling stuff, and does it influence the way you write riffs or that you create the song parts?
As far as his vocals go, yeah, actually, during the writing process, a lot of stuff that happens is Ollie and Spencer will work out like some of their patterns, like between its drum, and they'll match that. And then when it comes to the guitar, Dean and I will kind of create stuff around those patterns too, or we'll come up with some like shot patterns for Ollie to kind of, manipulate and turn into like his own. So it's kind of like, yeah.
So it's influencing each other. It's not just you write a song and then he comes in and just does his stuff. Okay.
No, and even when we're writing riffs, Ollie's like totally hands-on and like he's putting his input in, and then he's even thinking about like lyrical ideas and patterns too. So like we might have a riff and then he's thinking, hey, I could add this to it, so why don't we try to write it this way? So yeah, and we all pretty much write together, and that's kind of, we feed off of each other. So that's pretty much our process.
Well, great. So as I stated in my intro, you are ridiculously technical, and it's just incredibly impressive to watch you guys. Just in general, did you study your instruments, or how did you get so incredibly good at your instruments?
I wouldn't necessarily say we're good at our instruments. We just like to go fast.
Could be better.
Yeah, we could be better. I mean, thank you though. That's awesome that you guys are thinking that's rad. Yeah, I mean, everybody just works really hard on their instrument as a whole, and we've all been playing for many, many years, so we finally just kind of found a group of people that, we all get along with, and we kind of, push each other and try to push our limits. So, if one guy's working on something that's, pretty challenging, it's kind of inspires the rest of us, and, kind of back and forth.
Great. Great. And how about your vocals? Did you train a lot to do that? And how did you develop your technique?
It was something that I wanted to do with this project from the beginning, but I didn't really know how to do. So I did look to the speed rappers to get some inspiration. But I think how I sort of formed the technique was just by writing more difficult. Like, so my lyrics would be more difficult, and then just practicing executing them just sort of brought me up to another level of speed. So it really all starts with writing,
So kind of just growing by the challenge you set yourself, and then...
Yeah, I think I do what everyone does, is where we write a little bit above what we can do at that time, and then we try to get there, and then the next song we do the same thing, So you're always pushing yourself, but not to an unrealistic level, just to what you can barely do, and then you slowly climb up until you can do it. Yeah.
Sure enough. And just in general, you guys have, let's say, a special interest kind of music. It's probably a very slim margin of people who check it out. How do you position yourself in the market these days?
Well, we just whore ourselves out as much as we can, you know. No, I think that helps and it inhibits because it is such a small market. But that means that it's easier to stand out in, you know. Whereas if we were playing pop music, I mean, there's so many pop bands, you can get buried in that. And I think if you're playing something that's subgenre of a subgenre, it's easier to stand out by doing something a bit different. So we just try to sound a little bit different, and you know, whatever that strength is, we try to just promote that as much as possible. Like the tech thing, the stay tech was our thing to try to be like, so people would say that and they'd hear that and then they'd associate that with our band. So that's helped us quite a bit, helped us tour a lot.
So you kind of defined a slogan for yourself, as it were, and then just, you know, kind of did the meme of my Archspire and celebrate that in that kind of sense.
Yeah, it was our way of marketing past our band to be like, this is what we want, you know, to provide to other people, you know, and it encompasses a lot of other bands that we like, not just our music, you know, like we hear bands that we're like, oh, they're doing what we love, you know, and so yeah, so it's helped a lot for sure.
Great. And just in general, how do you see the music business? And I mean, it's probably something that more or less every musician that tries to, you know, stay afloat financially thinks about in the context of streaming and everything. Don't know, maybe the guitar player, vocalists talk too much.
I mean, it's been a huge learning process, and I mean, just from touring with a lot of our favorite bands and seeing like, you know, what they've been doing, whether it's just like how they operate, you know, their merch, how they operate live, like on stage, how they, you know, even write music to, you know, taking notes on that, and then seeing business side of that as well. Because we live in Canada, we're really fortunate where we have an opportunity to get grants. So that's definitely helped us in the last few years. We have a team that's kind of helped push us forward, and plus we have like really good relationship with our label as well, and we've been getting tons of advice through them, and that as well with like even basically it's like all the avenues that we've done, like that stuff with merch, like the recordings, it's like it's all built up, and the people that we've been able to surround ourselves with have been really fortunate that they've passed on a lot of their knowledge, and we've, you know, been able to judge them what to do and what not to do, and it's still a learning process where, you know, every tour or any album that comes out, we're always trying to like, how can we make this better? How can we appeal to more fans? How can we, you know, sell our brand, you know, even
just
better?
How can you grow in all possible aspects? And you said your label, do they push you a lot? Would you say that it is a good thing to have a good label these days still, even though self-marketing has become so huge and so important?
I think it totally depends on where you're at and what you expect from a label. If like the days of handing in an album or a demo and getting somebody to pick you up is just over. So for us, we have a really fair relationship with our label where the harder we work, then the harder they're going to work for us. And you know, we're at the point now where we can start to make our own decisions and don't need to rely on them as much, but they're still, you know, like the head of our label sort of is very personal with us. So he's known the industry for a long time. So you know, we can call him up and be like, hey, here's this question. And so for that, in that regard, it's really beneficial. But I think if you're a band and you have enough money to do it yourself, and you have the reach and you can market it yourself, then there's no reason not to, really, you know. But for us, we didn't have that, and Season of Mist has helped us so much with that.
So you would say it kind of depends just on your knowledge base, kind of if you were to have more information beforehand, you would have been better off without a label, kind of, or what?
Well, I think it depends because they do distribution really well. You know, there's things that they do that you can't do as a young band. And yeah, I think it depends. A lot of bands that will shit talk on labels are either on a big label that doesn't really care about them, or they're not working hard enough to get that label to work with them. You know what I mean? So if you're working hard and the label's working hard, then it's a great match, you know, and it has been for us for sure.
So it's kind of evolutionary symbiosis. You just have to do the work and then they do the work. So yeah.
It's a much different relationship now than it was with the bands that we grew up watching. It's completely different now, you know. So.
Awesome. And you talked about getting grants from Canada, and that's something that I wanted to ask you. There are so many incredible forward-thinking technical bands from Canada. Do you kind of think that is because Canada has? Also, you have to tell me. Does Canada have a special version of music programs and everything to kind of advance that?
Well, I guess as far as like metal bands go, the bigger chunk of bands mostly are from Montreal, which is like the complete opposite side from us. So, and they have their whole program with like arts and music is pretty high-ended. So you find that there's a lot of artists and musicians and stuff that go to like these really good schools, and they become, they can become professional musicians. So, and then on our end, it's a little different. It's more just like we're watching, everybody from afar. It's like the grass is greener kind of thing. So, and then with the government, I guess because they're trying to focus on helping artists, and they have, I guess they've been able to budget it. So, I don't know. It's kind of that's how we've been able to kind of benefit from it. So it's been good. Actually, one thing that's cool is our label actually recommended, because they're like, hey, you guys are Canadian, you guys should look into grants, and even that we were like, well, what are the chances? I mean, that's probably just for like pop music and stuff, and there's no way that that's even going to be, in our reach. And who they connected us with was actually a Canadian band, and they've start writing grants as well, so they're grant writers. So we've kind of a good relationship with them, and they've kind of helped us along through it. And I guess it goes back to like even what Ollie's saying, it's like the more self-sufficient you are, and the harder that you work at it, your numbers can go up, people see that, and so that's kind of like how it ends up kind of working out in the end.
Sure, they probably have to see that you are already a hard-working band, that you have a plan and everything. Yeah. But you would say that it's absolutely possible for an extreme band to get grant money and to...
Well, the idea behind it is that Canada wants Canadian content around the globe. Because Canada sucks at media a lot of the time. Our movies are shit, our bands are shit. So they want to promote Canadian artists. So they don't really look into what style of music you're playing, and if they did, they probably wouldn't really give us money. But because we're traveling a lot and we're playing in all these different countries, for them it's a good investment, because then it'll show that Canada does have some good arts, and
So you're capital in the Canadian plan of cultural hegemony, so to speak. So one final question I wanted to ask. As I stated, again, I think you are ridiculously technical. You can say whatever you want. But what are bands that you would say are incredible at their instruments, just, mind-blowing in all possible regards?
Well, like in this genre, I think that... it's hard to tell because there's some bands that I haven't seen live. Like Cytotoxin is a band that their albums are fucking great. And I'm sure that they're awesome live. And once I see them, I can get excited about their how good they are. But yeah, that's a band that I thought is really cool and doing something different. And then, like Animals as Leaders is another great one that's like pushing the envelope for sure. I don't know what you'd think.
This tour package alone that we're on is been, it's pretty stacked. So like, Revocation, they're, awesome. They have a great combination of like, thrash and death metal and even like rock parts, and it's just how it's written. It's pretty clever, and I think that, it's, you can just tell there's like crazy shred going on, but it's also, sophisticated at the same time. And then like Surreption as well. It's like kind of one of our favorite tech bands right now. They just it's kind of like where Decapitated kind of left off, like after their third album. They've kind of like just carried that, and just like, I don't know, like when I hear that, I think of like instantly, I think technical death metal, and it's like super precise, and even Rivers of Nile too. Like they have their own thing going, and it's awesome. Like they're super pro. They're technical, and they have like a cool kind of atmosphere about them as well. So that's a kind of a different take on the subgenre. So I guess it's not all just like as fast as you can play and chopped up. It's like these bands all have something different to offer, and like their own take on it.
Jake's not super pro. You know, outside of the show, he is. The show, he's professional. Outside of the show, you know, like on the bus, like last night with the girl, wasn't quite so professional. But
Well, what happens in the tour bus stays in the tour bus.
no, it doesn't. I'll tell all you guys what he did. So basically, he was like, he didn't know where to come because he's on these little bunks, right? So he decided to, he's like on top for, so he starts like, which we call the dairy cow now, where you milk from behind so that he doesn't make a mess. So I guess in that way it's professional. You know, he's even trying to be technical with his performance in bed as well as on stage. So that's for Jake.
His performance that night was probably the most technical he's technically proficient.
Well, stay tech in all life situations.
In all aspects of your life, absolutely.
Do you have anything to add concerning Switzerland or any things you want to say your fans around here?
We love coming here. It's great, and the more people know
In all
about it-
possible ways coming,
Well, yeah, absolutely. The Wi-Fi works really well here. It's great, and we eat so much food everywhere, and the food here is fucking amazing. It's awesome. So, yeah.
We are glad having you. So, anything final to add?
I think just stay tech. You know.
Absolutely, stay tech, people. Have a good day. And please subscribe to those guys like Archspire, like everybody on this incredible tour, and like Black Vertica. Have a good day.
Sweet. Had to call Jake out because Awesome. Thanks, man.
No problem. It was a cool conversation.
Thank you. Thank you very much.